Hey everybody, so today's video is probably the most important one that I've made to this point, and it's because it touches on an issue that a lot of students have. And even worse, a lot of students may not even realize that this is a problem that they have, and that is how to study for the SAT or the ACT or really any test that you might take, and to really use your time in the most effective way you can. So you might have had this experience before, maybe somebody you know, where you spend a lot of time reviewing for a test. You read your notes, you maybe watch some videos, maybe my videos, or you, I don't know, spend time studying with your friends, or you might go visit with a teacher, whatever it might be. You spend a lot of time preparing for a test. And test day comes, and maybe during the test itself you realize, uh-oh, maybe I'm not so prepared, you freeze up, or maybe you get the grade back and it's not at all what you expected. So you might ask yourself, well, hey, I spent all this time studying, why didn't I get the results that I wanted? And this could be a lot of reasons for it, but one of the main reasons is it's possible that the time that you spent studying, reviewing, may not have been spent in a really effective way. And instead, what was happening is you created the illusion of knowing. You gained fluency in the topic, but maybe you didn't actually gain a working ability to use that information as you're going to have to use it on the test. So what this video is going to be about is giving you the foundation of what your study sessions largely should look like when you're preparing for a test like the SAT. So this video is going to be focused on the SAT, but it could be applied to a lot of other tests. So not every study session of yours may look exactly like this, but this study session that I'm going to model in this video should be, as I said, the bread and butter, the foundation of everything that you're doing for your SAT studying. If you don't do something like this in this video, your chances of getting the scores you want, getting the improvements, are going to be a bit harder than if you actually do this. This is, I think, the most effective way to prepare for the test. Now, here's the thing. It's not easy. All right, something that will get you the gains you're looking for, get you the improvements. It's not going to be easy. If it were easy, everybody would do it. But if I can give you the formula, so to speak, the step-by-step approach to practicing properly, I think that will at least help you figure out how you have to use your time effectively. So let's get started then with step one, which is making sure you have all the materials you need to start studying. Step one is to make sure that you have the materials for the job, that you've got the things you need to have a successful, productive study session. So the first thing you need is questions. You need material. You need something to work on. So I always recommend you to use real practice SATs. I don't recommend third-party books for practice tests like Kaplan, Princeton Review, and so on, because while they try to be accurate, they'll never be as accurate as the real thing. So whether it's the SAT Blue Book, the official study guide, whether it's tests you can download, for example, off my website, or whether it's tests that you acquire in other ways, you want to always make sure you're using real practice material, because that's going to ensure that you're really focusing on the questions and the material that you want to focus on. The next thing you'll need is a bubble sheet. I recommend when you practice, make sure you're bubbling in your answers, because you might think, well, what's the point? It doesn't really change anything. Well, it does, because the time you spend, that minute it might take you overall to bubble in your answers, is a minute you don't have to work on questions. So while you may have 25 minutes for a section, when you deduct time for bubbling in and doing all that, it may only be 24 minutes or 23. So you have to adjust to that. If you're just working on the page, well, you might have actually more time than you might think. This could be one reason why you don't do as well on the real test if you don't accurately, as best you can, simulate testing conditions. The next thing you'll need the next two things are things you can download off my website. The first is the SAT section tracker. So the idea behind this, I have a video on it. You'll see the video. I guess it'll be over here. Yeah, I'll put up a link to the video. Is how to, once you've done the section, how to grade it, how to check it. And you don't want to just find out how many right you got, how many wrong you got, how many omit you got. You want to use this to keep track. I'll go into this a little bit later, but for more details, check out the video. And the final resource you'll need is the progress tracker, SAT progress tracker. Basically, you can use this to keep track of how you do on each section. So once you've graded the section, you found your right, wrongs, and omits, you can use this sheet, as I've described elsewhere, to keep track of how you've done. So over time, you can see how is your overall score increasing for a particular section, or staying the same, or decreasing, whatever it might be, so you can track your progress. So now it's actually time to do the work, to actually do the section. So you want to do this timed. So in this practice section from the 2005 test, which you can download from my site, we're going to do section 2, which is a math. And this technique applies to all the sections. We're just doing math for today. So you want to go ahead and give yourself the 25 minutes, at least that's what's allotted to you in this section, to do this. So get a watch. You should have a stopwatch or a cell phone or a clock or something so that you can keep track of your time. And then go ahead, start the timer, and do the section. Now for this one, I've done this one 100 times. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, as I do the section, pretend I'm a student, pretend I'm doing the section, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make mistakes on the questions that I've seen students make before. So you can kind of see when we go through the review process how we handle those mistakes and how do we address them, and basically try to treat this like, you know, I'm a typical student doing a section, getting some right, getting some wrong, and then reacting to that, adjusting to that when we go through the review process. So let's go ahead and do the section. Okay, so time's up, finished the section, or at least as much as I could finish, and now it's time for me to check my answers. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got A, B, E, E, so those look good. 5 is B, 6 is D. 7 is D, I have A, so I'll cross that out. 8 is A, 9 is B, so I got that one wrong too. 10 is A, 11 I omitted, 12, got that one wrong. 13 is E, 14 I got that one wrong. 15 is B, good. 16 omitted. 17 wrong. 18 I got right, and then 19 and 20 I omitted. Okay, so this is usually where people stop. They'll maybe calculate how many they got wrong. So let's see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wrong. And I omitted 1, 2, 3, 4. And at this point they say, okay, I got 11 right. 5 wrong, 4 omits. Okay, that's not very good. Let me try another one. Well, the problem is this is the moment. This is the most important moment of your practice time. This is the moment where you have to actually dive back into that section and see what happened, what went wrong. You might already do this. That's good. But if you don't, you definitely want to incorporate this because this is where the learning is going to happen. It's going to be after you've done the section. You can do a post-mortem, analyze your test, see what you did wrong, and go from there. So now we're going to move on to the portion where we check each of our questions and evaluate them question by question. We've now done the section. We've checked our answers. Now it's time to actually do the heavy lifting. This is where we're really gonna get the value out of our session, and it's in carefully evaluating how we did on each question. And in order to do this, you're going to use the SAT section tracker. You could use this or another way, but you want to go through each question. So I have a separate video on this. I linked to it. You'll see it right here. You can click on that, watch this in order to know how to use this sheet. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to fill out this sheet based on how I did on my practice section. Okay, so at this point we've filled out our section tracker, and we've also filled out the progress tracker. according to the video, which I'll link here. So you can use this to keep track of your overall progress as you work through sections. So we can see on this one my raw score after figuring out my minuses for the -1/4 penalty. It gets me about a 10, which if I look on this table, earns me in the 20 question math section around a 500. So that's where I would be on this particular section. Now, one other thing you'll want to do, in addition to writing all this out, is have some kind of notebook. So whether it's a binder, spiral notebook, marble notebook, whether it's digital, whether it's a Word document, or if it's Evernote or some app that you might use, you want to have something to keep track of some notes as you go through. And whenever you get a question wrong, that you want to review the topic. So if it's a topic you don't understand, or if it's something that you want to review later, or you have a question about, you want to have that notebook handy so that you can write those things down. So notice here, I wrote down the topics of all the questions that I either got wrong or omitted, and I wrote next to it the test, the section, and the number, so that when I go back and review those topics, I can go to those questions in the test and try them again with my new knowledge. So now I would go back into this section and use this to guide me in the final step of the procedure. So in the final step of our study session, we're going to do the deep review. Now the goal is to learn the things that we need to learn that we didn't know the first time that we can use in the future. So you're going to go through all the questions that are essentially outside of the right OK column. Every question in one of these boxes is a question that you've got room to improve on, whether it's not making a careless mistake, learning a new concept, learning a better strategy, learning how to use your time better, whatever it might be. This is the area you need to improve on. Any checks in here need to eventually be moved to the right OK column. Now, what you need to do is maybe something like go through each of these topics and read a book about them, like a review book. You can watch some of my videos. You can ask a teacher, ask a friend, a tutor, whatever it might be to help you with these topics. But this is the list of things you might have to review, right? So there's a lot of resources to do that. Once you review that, you'd go back to the questions, try them again, see if you understand them. Now, there might be some questions even after this entire process. So maybe these two questions here, 19 and 20 that we omitted, maybe even with reviewing books or videos or, trying them again and again, you still can't figure them out. And you've got two options in that case. Number one, these may not be questions, depending on your pacing goal, that you'd even want to try to do anyway. So, for example, if you're getting a 600 or your goal is a 600 in the math, a 19 and 20 in the math section may not be a good use of your time, right? You may actually want to omit those typically on the test. So you might just not review them. But if you want to learn them and or you're going for an 800, you need to try these questions and you still can't figure them out. This is where you really go in and ask for help from a teacher, a friend, a tutor, from me if you're one of my students or if you're a member of Reason Prep. And these are the questions that you really want to get help with, right? So tutors can help you with all of this, but the more that you can do on your own, number one, it saves you time, it saves you money, and you're going to get a better outcome when you learn these things on your own and leave the really hard stuff, the stuff that you got really specific questions to. You give those to your teacher to help you with, and you put all that together, and that's just going to be rocket fuel for your SAT practice. So this is the procedure. You go through each question one by one, you categorize it on this chart, you put it into your progress tracker, and then you do the heavy lifting of actually doing this work. Now, you might say, boy, this is going to take me a long time. Like, it's not going to be like an hour and a half maybe to do all this, maybe longer. It's going to take forever. It's kind of annoying. And I'd say, yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what this is about. If you put in this time, that's what's going to get you the improvements. That's what's going to ensure that on test day, you're actually prepared and ready to do what you got to do, ready to perform up to your level. So yes, it is time consuming, and that is the point. But now you know exactly how to spend your time. Now for some closing remarks. Number one, this approach can work for any test you're doing, whether it's SAT math or reading or writing, whether it's ACT, whether it's an SAT subject test, a test in school. You want to basically follow this procedure, and it can be laid out for you as follows. Do practice questions, review your answers, review every question, come up with a list of topics that you need to review further, review those either on your own and or with a teacher, and then go back and redo the work that you missed the first time to make sure you've learned it. That is the schematic. That is the plan. That's the foundation. But again, it's just a foundation. So in the end, you have to discover the techniques, the study strategies, whatever it might be that are helpful for you as an individual. So This should be the foundation. You should always be doing practice problems, reviewing your answers, but you'll probably find you're going to come up with certain ways to do this that, either add on to this, change this, but use this as your starting point. Do this in terms of frequency. Try to do it at least once a day, once every 2 days. Be consistent. Don't cram, because as you can see, this is a very intensive, effortful process. You can't do this for 8 hours a day. It's just not possible, not mentally possible. So what you want to do is split this up. Do a little bit every day. Do one of these sections. Do one of these analyses and reviews every day, 5 or 6 days a week consistently. You do that over a period of time, and you are going to have really solid results on your actual SAT or ACT or whatever exam when it comes up. So that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions, either in the comments on YouTube or on my site. Send me an email if you'd like. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.